Hey, what's going on, Real Driven community? My name is Michael Chisty, and we're back here again for another great expert exchange here. Today, we are with Debra Olshan Cooper. Debra, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So for those of you who have not met Debra, Debra is the founder of Your Career Design Lab, which is pretty much a service really aimed at the same group of people who are interested in the services we provide. Debra is literally a professional in helping individuals of all walks of life craft their story and really find good ways to learn what sets them apart as candidates and really kind of reflect that, whether it be in an interview or just any sort of situation where you need to sell yourself or you need to sell your experiences. And this is not her first rodeo. Debra, correct me if I'm wrong, you've actually had multiple businesses and a lot of entrepreneurial efforts in this space. So do you mind maybe giving the community just kind of a quick rundown of what you've done before and then what you're up to now?
Absolutely. In the best of terms, I would say I'm a serial entrepreneur, quite frankly. And I think that a lot of your audience understand that because I'm sure they've got a multitude of different thoughts and ideas and are trying to expand it. So I know very well what everybody is going through. I guess it really started, Mike, years ago when I was working for obviously different companies and stuff. I interned and did different companies. And I was actually working at a fashion company. But I know this is a little weird, but I saw a psychic because I wanted to make sure that I was going to keep this job. I really loved the job. And the psychic said to me, no, unfortunately, you're not going to continue with this job. You're going to be in PR and you're going to be working with a very famous person and helping the world understand about a very horrible disease. And I was like, I don't want to say the word online, but that whatever. I'm like, this is the biggest waste of $50 I have ever spent. That I'm keeping my gig. And I swear to God, the next day a designer said, you'd be really good at PR. Now you have to understand something. I never even asked what PR was. I thought it meant like Puerto Rico. I had like no idea. I was too embarrassed to go, what do you mean PR? Long story short, I meet a woman and she hires me for PR. And at that time I had my Walkman. So I had the cassette. I'm like, PR, this is exactly what the guy told me. Anyway, long story short, I go and work for this company, and my first thing I'm doing, she hands me this stack of letters, and I'm looking, and it's like, Dear Elizabeth Taylor. And all I kept thinking was, oh my God, this is what the guy was saying. And then 3 months later, we got a call from, at that time, it had just been formed, AIDS Project Los Angeles. And we put together the first ever commitment to life AIDS benefit ever held, which is now, Elton John, it's probably the largest fundraiser in the world. And we created it and we started it. And all I could keep thinking was this divine intervention, because this is what it was about. And, I always say this to entrepreneurs, that we're a very different breed of people, right? Unless you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an Indian chief, we kind of raise our level of vibration to let the divine or the vibrations of the world kind of enter us and lead us down our journey. And so I worked there for 4 years, and we went on to create, all the AIDS benefits and AmFAR for her and what have you. Then I got another little intervention in that one day I'm reading Time magazine and I see this really cool thing that this guy's going to do. They don't mention the guy's name. It's going to be a pop culture show with fashion and beauty and entertainment. I'm like, this would be really cool. I put it in my file of facts book, which by the way, I still have today. And I go in for an interview at Time Warner. And the interview guy's like, well, this is going to be a new show that's geared towards pop culture. I'm like, oh no, he's not going there, is he? And with that, I took out my file of facts book. I go, are you talking about this? And he said, yes. He goes, you're hired. Because who comes in with an intention of the kind of job that I wanted, and I got it on paper. And I ended up working for Bob Pittman, who was the creator of MTV, who now is the creator of iHeartRadio. So I would say that my path and my journey has been a little put together, not by me, but by something bigger than myself. From there, I did that for many years, and then I ended up doing my own PR and marketing company. And what that's interesting about that is I started out at University of Arizona. Then I came back and I wanted to go to USC. And when I was at USC, I got asked to be in the fashion industry. So I left and I went to Europe for 3 years. and I'd go into different stores and what have you. And when I started my own PR firm in the 80s, it was when European fashion was coming into the US marketplace. And and nobody had known those kinds of designers. And I, bullshit a little bit, but I was like, I know your product. I've lived in Paris. I lived in Florence. I know your product. I'm the only PR firm that can bring it into the US marketplace. They believed me. And I had one of the largest fashion, beauty, and luxury PR firms in New York City. And all the stores that I went to that I could not afford for the life of me, I end up having as a client. So sometimes when you follow your dreams, and I want to kind of integrate this, when you follow your dreams, when you follow your passions, that's when the things that you're meant to get and have become your reality. So I want everybody to remember that. And then I had my PR firm. It was amazing. And I did that for many, many years. And then I moved to Florida and I started another PR firm called Fresh Connect Solutions. Was more like working with businesses and things like that. And that was really interesting, and different law firms and things. And then I moved to Short Hills, New Jersey, where I found myself in the suburbs. And I'm like, okay, I may be sitting on the train tracks like a little too long, because I thought, like, what the hell did I do? And so I decided, being the serial entrepreneur that I am, I got to get freaking out of this town. So I created a company called Daycation Today. And it was giving moms a me day. So instead of going to Soul Cycle and going to the market and going to cleaners and then picking up your kids and going, I did nothing for myself. I discovered the 14 towns around where I lived and what they had to offer. I called the businesses up and I said, look, I can bring you people. Give me your downtimes. You're not going to charge us anything. But I'll bring you people, because it becomes a numbers game. Everybody in entrepreneur knows about the numbers game. And sure enough, I had a membership business. I had hundreds of clients, and every month I would send you a newsletter saying, here's what's offering you today, from yoga to getting your nails done to massages. And that became hugely successful. And, it really comes from, like, when people say about writing a book or writing music, you do it for yourself in a way, in hoping that other people are kind of going through what you're going through. And that's the best way to have an entrepreneurial company. And then I came back to Florida, and then I had friends calling me and going, Debra, so-and-so has an internship and she hates it. Can you talk to her? So I go, Abby, you got to just go speak to your boss. And she's like, I'm not speaking to my boss. I'm not asking for what I want.
No way. Why would I ever do that?
Why? Yeah. Why would I take an internship in Chicago, a place where I really want to work, and do nothing and not say anything? I go, well, because you really should write an email and say, you've gone to Chicago. You love this company. You were hoping to learn everything. Slowly, I got her to move towards that direction. And sure enough, she got into another team and then got offered a job her junior year of college. So people kept calling me, and I thought, I think there's a niche for kind of taking what I did in PR, and that is crafting a story around people and being able to pitch that to Good Morning America or CNN or what have you. And I wanted to give these kids in college, graduating, an opportunity to get their 15 minutes of fame and learn about themselves in the process and be able to tell their story.